Now, I realize at the end of yesterday's episode I was saying that we'll have the model ship here and we'll be starting to put these boats on it. But at that moment when I said that, I'd forgotten that I've got to paint the rudders and what have you that are, on these things. So I'll probably just do one rudder on camera, and the rest I'll just quickly get them done, because it is my intent to get to, step 66, I think is the next one. I really want to get started on that today. I've just sort of, for the last month or two, I've just been really going slow here and not getting anything done. This model hood should have been done, and we should have been well into the Rodney by now. And anyway, our sunrise here, it's, there is no sunrise. Well, there was, we just can't see it. Now, right now I can see the uprights on the left-hand side of the bridge, but about half an hour ago I couldn't even see them. It was so foggy. Yeah, well, you can't have a beautiful sunrise every morning, right? Anyway, earlier this morning when I went outside to brush the cobwebs off of the pan-tilt zoom so that it would, we'd be able to get the sunrise, and at that time I thought we might have one, who knows. And I put out fresh carrots. It wasn't like this. And then about half an hour later, I looked in the surveillance monitor, and all of the cameras looked like it was snowing. Well, it wasn't snowing. It's just that the fog was so heavy that the mist looked like snow. I actually looked at my outside temperature to see, did we suddenly get a cold snap? Because it sure did look like snow coming down. Anyway, enough about the weather. Let's get on here. Let's try and get some paint on our little rudders here, and enough talk, Ron, enough talk. Now, only these boats that have rudders on do I have to do something with. The ones that have the propellers I'm not going to do anything with, except possibly our number 20 here. If you remember yesterday on the back there I did the panel line color thing. I'm thinking of maybe just taking our number 22 and just painting over that. It just, to my way of thinking, it just doesn't look right. But as far as painting the propeller shafts and so on, it's going to be mounted this way on the deck anyway. Nobody is going to be able to see underneath there. So I'm not going to do anything else with that. I'm noticing I got some sort of a thing going on right here. And yet on the other hand, if I touch it up with a brush, it's going to be so radically different. You know what? I think that's from the blue tack. Now one of the viewers mentioned about using the white tack, that it's that it doesn't leave a residue as bad. I just might get some of that. On the other hand, I don't know. Anyway, let's just recompose here. I want to handle everything very carefully so I don't accidentally drop it and break off a propeller. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to do one on camera rather, and I was going to tell you what I'm going to do, but why don't I just describe it as I'm doing it here. Lately I find it is a lot easier to just, you might say, flap my gums than it is to actually do something. And I've got to get over that, or as I was indicating earlier, we're just not going to get done here. Okay, I have painted over the panel line color on our number 20, boat number 20. And I used the number 66 instead of the 22. I'm realizing now that maybe that was a mistake. At the time I thought if I use a darker color, maybe it would cover the paneling, and it actually did. It painted over pretty good, as you can see here. I think I'm just going to leave it, though. I don't think anybody's going to notice that the that this is the 22 and the transom is the 66. Or pardon me, not 22, the 19. The 22 is what we painted the hull of the main hull. Anyway, yeah. No, not the hull, the superstructure. Well, no, the upper hull. I guess it was. That's right. We did paint the. Anyway, let's move on here. I'll put one of these on our rotator here, and we'll just do the one, and I'll explain why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. Okay, I will put the macro lens on when I do this, but what I wanted to explain was that when I put the CA glue down the back of the bead of CA glue down the back of the transom there, some of it sort of wicked out to the sides, and of course we got this glinting going on if the light hits it wrong, and it's kind of discolored. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our number 19, which is what is on the transom right now, and I'm going to paint, right up to and probably, yes, including part of the rudder. Then we'll let that dry. Then I'm going to take something darker, like either the off black, or maybe, no, I think that'd be too dark. Probably the 77. And I'm just going to paint the rudders themselves and try and delicately paint the top here. I think that this piece that I'm touching right now of the photo etch is supposed to be like a tiller bar. I think that's what it would be. I think that's what it's supposed to represent. And the somebody would, helmsman or whatever his name would be, he'd be sitting right here, and he'd have one hand on this tiller. And the rest of the poor swabbies, they'd be rowing like crazy. Okay, I'm starting it out at this angle here, just so that you can see that glinting that I was talking about. But I'm going to have to swing it around here. Might be a little hard for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, no, I know I got it on the photo etch there. And I also know that I'm kind of, you might say, flooding it on. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but earlier this morning, I painted these little triangular shaped things, and I got a little bit right there. I'm just going to cover that up right now. Alright, I think I got it. Is there anything else here? Maybe down in the bottom here. Alright, that doesn't look too bad to me. Yeah, we're gonna let that dry. And you know what? I'm gonna put the lid on I'm gonna call it a pot, because so many of my viewers refer to these things as pots. So, okay, now I'm gonna take the hair dryer here. Probably about 15 minutes has passed here now, and the heat gun was set at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. That'd be like a really hot day in Australia. Yeah. Uh, okay. I think what I'm going to do here is, well, you'll notice the blue tack. I was noticing that the blue tack was kind of getting what I thought was getting shiny, and I thought, is the heat, affecting our blue tack here? And now I'm going to end up with it sticking to the bottom of the hull. Well, let's see, because I am going to want to reposition this thing. And the reason I'm going to want to reposition it, let's see if I can get this off now. Trying to do this so you can see it coming off. I guess I'm going to have to do that off camera. Okay, am I holding that so that you can see it? I think I got most of it off. Now, what I want to do is I want to reposition this on its side, like this. The reason being is I can paint more accurately if I'm sort of painting in a downward position, the way my finger is pointing. There's less chance of me, in other words, I can paint down a lot better than I can paint it if it's like this. So I'm just going to reposition this, and then I'm going to recompose. Now, do you notice the CA glue glinting there on the photo etch where there's no paint? That's what I want to try and get rid of. Okay, because something glinting will catch your eye, whereas something dark and dull, of course, won't. All right, so once again, I'm going to be using my little brush this time, and we're going to use the 77, not the black. Now, I want to just try and go up to, once again, this may not be at a good angle for you, but I've got to have it at a good angle for me. And yes, I know I probably put it on a little bit too heavy. Oops. I've got to sort of... Oh, I guess I could do a second coat there too, couldn't I? Alright, that should level out. Okay. Now I think what we can do is, did I go far enough up? Yeah, I think I better just leave well enough alone. Obviously you're moved in so close, it's gonna look really bad. But okay, I'm gonna just turn it over here. Since I've lost weight, my visor is slipping down over my head here. Okay, let's get this off. Once again, it's good that when I can cut out the dead spots. Okay, check the monitor and see if you can still see it. Oh yeah, more or less. Okay. Guess I'm gonna have to adjust my visor. Oh. If I don't pull it on, Oops, that was maybe a little bit more than I wanted. Okay. So, it looks to me like okay. Now I think when that dries and shrinks, okay, now what are we going to do about the top of the tiller? Let's just take it off here again. Okay, now for the top of the tiller, I'm just resampling some paint here. Now, I'm not going to try and go down the side of the tiller. I think what I'm going to try to do is just stay just on the top. Oh, that's too much on my brush. Just let me clean my brush off here. Okay, I just want to touch the top. Oh, well, is that going to look believable? Maybe later I can take the deck tan and go in there. You know, if I try to do the same thing on this other side, I think what's probably going to happen is I'm just going to, on the other hand, maybe not. Let's just see what happens here. Okay, you know what? That at a distance that might actually be all right, even though it's way too thick. You know, you know, the tiller now stands out. At least that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. Anyway, let's let that dry and we'll check it out. I'm going to do the other. I think there's 6 or 7 more that I have to do, and I'm just going to do them off camera, and maybe we'll do excuse me, a quick look later. Okay, things are not going as planned. What I had planned on doing today was going into details about how I calculate out the calories and all that kind of stuff. But I got more involved with my painting here than I thought. And time is marching on here this afternoon. And but all I can say is it's not very many pizza days that I can cut it off at under 1,000 calories. Now I kind of have fun here working it out. For instance, it's 999. Well, the way I brought it up to 999 is if I have 44 grams of all bran. Now, all bran is something that you can very easily measure to you know, 1/100th of a gram if you want to. Anyway, yeah. So we're just going to have to, you know, do the in detail, you might call it, of how I do this diet thing for another day. I want to get back at the painting and try and do a little bit more here. And in the meantime, I'm just going to press stop and enjoy my pizza. Okay, all our little boats that had photo etch rudders that needed painting, they're painted. At least they're painted about as good as I'm going to do it. Now there's some that I did not try to paint the tiller for obvious reasons. This is that one that we painted the tiller on and had a bit of a problem. I haven't done anything with that yet, and I probably won't, because at arm's length it actually looks not too bad. In fact, it looks good. I'm not using the macro lens because if I was to show you with the macro lens, then you know all the flaws are going to show up. There was one that I had to get out the number 19 and go over it again. Yeah, anyway, I think it's time to turn the page. Now, about the only thing that I think that I missed, and I have since fixed it, is this boat right here. I didn't do the panel line color in the recesses. So, well, that's done now. Okay. It's always a good feeling when you can realize that a lot of photo etch and what have you, and a lot of steps, you might say, are finished. At least as finished as you're planning to go on it. There is no end to detailing, but I think I'm about as done with 63, 4, and 5 as we're going to get. 66. Now, I think at the end of yesterday's episode I said we'll have the model ship on the table. Well, I really thought we would. I forgot about the painting when I was saying that. Okay, I don't see any reason now why tomorrow morning we won't start off with the model ship on the table. And yeah, we'll place these boats. I think that's all there is to do here in this step. Yeah, I think that's all we do. We just place the boats. Well, we should be able to do that tomorrow. So, thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we will see you tomorrow.